Greetings, my beautiful lovelies, it's Emmy. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be attempting to make mooncakes, which are a sweet dessert confection that come from Southeast and East Asia. And they are made to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival. The Mid-Autumn Festival is a harvest festival, and it's supposed to celebrate the moon. Now, mooncakes are called mooncakes because traditionally they have a salted egg yolk in the middle. So when you cut the mooncake in half, you have this beautiful golden cross section of an egg yolk that's supposed to represent the moon. Now, the Mid-Autumn Festival, also known as the Harvest Moon, is celebrated on the 15th day of the 8th month of the lunar calendar. And in the Gregorian calendar, that date fluctuates. It can fall anywhere between September to early October. And this year, it falls on September 13th, this Friday, which is tomorrow. So I very quickly put this recipe together so I could get this video up on time. So the Mid-Autumn Festival celebrates a few things. Number one being unity and family. Everyone looks at the moon and thinks of their loved ones who are near and far. It's also a harvest festival. It's the end of the growing season. It's time for everyone to get together and to harvest the bounty of the growing season. And it's also a time of reflection and prayer to wish for good things for yourselves and for others. I love all those sentiments. Just a great holiday, and like most holidays, it's celebrated with symbolic food, including the mooncakes. Now, mooncakes are not traditional cakes in the Western sense. They're not leavened at all. So my recipe is adapted from the very popular blog, The Walks of Life, and I will put the link to the original recipe down below. Now, be warned, this recipe is very labor intensive. Most people these days purchase their mooncakes for this reason. You can buy these pre-made in a tin, and usually a set of 4, and that can run anywhere from $10 to $30. It can even go higher than that depending on how many egg yolks are inside there and how many mooncakes are in the actual tin. So this recipe involves making your own lotus paste. You can also buy this store-bought, pre-made, and you can save yourself a lot of time. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? And you're going to need 12 ounces of lotus seeds. Now, these seeds are beautiful. They come from the lotus flower. Inside the lotus flower, once it matures and dies away, there is a kind of pod. So some of you that have trypophobia may not want to look at the lotus pods because they may give you the heebie-jeebies, but the seeds are located in those little holes. Using a butter knife or paring knife, we're going to split the lotus seeds open. They look like little bird's beaks. They're really beautiful. And there might be a little green sprout in there. You want to remove that because that's quite bitter. Then we're going to soak them with plenty of water overnight. So after 24 hours, we're going to drain off that water, add new water. We're going to boil it for 30 to 40 minutes or until the seeds are cooked. They're kind of softened, but they still hold their shape. So now we're going to turn off the heat and allow the seeds to cool in their cooking water. Then we're going to drain them, and now we're going to grind them into a paste. The original recipe says that we should do this in a couple batches, and I totally agree. They just said to puree it, and I found that it just made this very crumbly mixture. So I added some extra cooking water so that the blades could actually really process this into a paste, and the final texture will look something like hummus. So in a non-stick skillet, we're going to cook the lotus paste that we just made with powdered sugar and oil. So you'll notice that the paste will get thicker, and you're kind of folding and working it, and folding it and working it. And the recipe says to cook it until it kind of stiffens up. But as I added more oil, I found that my paste was getting very, very oily and greasy. So I ended up not using all of the oil. I had about 1/3 of a cup left. Okay, so now that we have the finished lotus paste, we're going to allow this to cool before we shape them. And next, we're going to mix up our dough. This will be the outside of the mooncake. And there are 2 ingredients that might not be easily found at your grocery store. Number one being this, and this is potassium carbonate, sodium bicarbonate solution. This is also known as lye water. It is used in traditional Chinese noodle making. It gives it a very characteristic texture and flavor. And also, you're going to be using this, and this is Lao's golden syrup. Golden syrup you can probably find in the international aisle of your grocery store, but the recipe includes a homemade version if you can't find this. To 1/3 of a cup of peanut oil, we're going to add 140 milliliters of our golden syrup and 1 teaspoon of lye water. Add that to 1 2/3 cup of flour, or 250 grams. So mix this well, but you don't want to overmix it. We don't want to develop any gluten. We don't want a tough outside crust. Once it forms a dough, we're going to wrap that in plastic wrap and place it in your refrigerator to chill. While everything is cooling off, next we're going to prepare the salted egg yolks. Now you can find these in a few different forms. If you have the kind that I have, they are salted eggs and they're pre-cooked. You just have to crack the shells and remove the white portion of the egg just so you have the yolks. Next we're ready to assemble our mooncakes, but first you're going to need one of these or something like this. And this is a mooncake mold. So this is a traditional wooden mold that has been carved, but they also have plastic ones that have a very convenient spring-loaded plunger and lots of intricate designs, and you can order those ones online. But my grocery store happened to have this, so I picked this one up, and my lovely mother, after I made my mooncakes, asked me if I knew what this character was, and I said, yeah, it's double happiness, right? And yeah, that's true, it is double happiness, but it is a symbol that is often used with marriage. So these are actually wedding mooncakes. A lot of people like to get married around the Mid-Autumn Festival because, again, it's a very auspicious time of year. Next, we're going to have to weigh out all the ingredients very specifically. I use the amounts that were provided in the recipe for a 100-gram mooncake. If your mold is a little bit bigger, you're going to have to make adjustments for that. So first thing we're going to do is take our Lotus paste and we're going to roll it into a ball and then make an indentation. Then we're going to put our salted egg yolk in the middle of that. Then gather the Lotus paste all the way around the yolk until it disappears. Then we're going to set that aside and then take our ball of dough and then place it in between two layers of plastic wrap, and then use a rolling pin and roll this out very, very thinly. And take your Lotus salted egg yolk ball, place that in the middle, and then using the plastic wrap, carefully gather the dough around the ball. Now we're going to take some flour and we're going to lightly dust our hands and lightly dust the mooncake. Then we're going to take our mold and thoroughly flour all the nooks and crannies and knock out the excess flour. And press the ball into the mold. Make sure you get into all the nooks and crannies. We're going to pick up the mold and grip it as if you were gripping a hammer. Then knock the side of it against a dish towel. Then we're going to transfer the mooncake onto a piece of parchment paper. Before we bake them, we're going to mist them with a little bit of water. Then we're going to bake it at 325 degrees for 5 minutes. While they're baking, you're going to prepare your egg wash, and I used 1 whole egg yolk with just a splash of milk. So after 5 minutes, take out your mooncakes and then take a brush and carefully brush on the egg wash. Now reduce the temperature of the oven to 300 degrees, return the mooncakes back to the oven and cook for another 15 minutes. Now keep an eye on your mooncakes. We put an egg wash on top and it will brown very, very quickly. So once they're golden, remove them from the heat and allow them to cool completely. A little tip to get that beautiful kind of shiny, glossy surface on your mooncakes is to take your fully cooled mooncake and put it inside of an airtight container. And these turned out beautifully. There were moments in this recipe where I was thinking that this might fail, but the end results are absolutely gorgeous. I'm so pleased. Let's go ahead and give these a taste to see if they taste as good as they look. Alrighty, let's cut one open. And it smells just how I remember a mooncake smelling. Oily, sweet, kind of brown sugary. I don't remember eating these all that much when I was a kid, and honestly I didn't really like them all that much. But now that I'm older, I think they're absolutely beautiful. I do like them. I find them very, very rich, and now I know why. The Lotus paste contains so much oil, and now I remember why I just always wanted just the tiniest little taste of it, because these are very, very rich and dense. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and cut this open. Okay, here we go. There is our moon. So my mooncake mold is pretty shallow, so my moon, instead of being nice and round, my moon is a little bit flat. But we still can see the crust on the bottom, the crust on the top, and we can see the Lotus paste inside. So I'm going to call that a success. Yay! It looks more like a setting sun than a moon, but for my first mooncake, I'll take it. Now I'm just going to take the tiniest little bite because these are so very rich. Alrighty, happy Mid-Autumn Festival. These are actually better than the store-bought ones. I'll be honest, I was never a huge fan of mooncakes as a child. They were just always so sweet and dense and rich. But I like these ones better. I can really taste the golden syrup in there. It has a really nice kind of brown sugary sweetness to it, which I don't remember the store-bought ones having. They just taste fresher and the flavors are just more bright. The egg yolk in the middle is very interesting. It's salty and has a very crumbly texture, but it's very rich as well. It's almost cheesy. It sounds strange, but it's almost cheesy. It has a richness of an egg yolk, but has a very crumbly texture. And that salt is really a nice balance to the sweetness of the bean paste that's inside. The lotus seed paste is quite nice too. It has a lotus seed flavor in there that I don't remember really detecting in the store-bought versions as well. Those ones just tasted more just like a sweet bean paste. Well, the lotus seed paste that I made has, to me, a little bit more nuttiness to it. It also has a little bit more texture. The store-bought ones tend to be very, very smooth. This one has just a little bit of bite to it, probably because my food processor wasn't able to get it completely ground up smoothly, but I actually like that little bit of texture. The skin is very nice. I was very pleased at how well this worked in wrapping and how easy it was to just manipulate and to roll out. It was a real pleasure to work with, and I was really surprised with this mold. I really did have some concern that the mooncakes would not unmold properly, but they came out beautifully. So don't be afraid of the wooden mold. Alrighty, so there you have it, homemade mooncakes to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival. I hope you think of your family and friends the next time you look at the moon. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys learned something. Please share this video with your friends. It was a lot of work. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye!